That is infuriating. What's happened? Why did it go down? I know my CPU was really high. Alright, just give everyone a moment. I'll give you guys a moment. Looks like I've lost the Twitch stream, which is really annoying. The CPU was super high when I was doing the intro with the intro video. I should never have added the scroll bar to that. That did make it really hot. Ollie cursed you because of the new microphone. I don't think it was the new microphone. No, just give you guys a chance to come in. That's a new to me. Looks all right, all good. It looks okay here. I'm not sure what to do, if I'm honest now, with the bit of censoring going on. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was, guys. Not sure what it was. Just give it a second before we carry on. Just for everyone to come back in. I honestly don't know what happened. It said it was all running fine. Keep going. Yeah, I was just waiting for a few more people to come in. Okay. Well, we covered one article on one live stream. So, yeah. Okay, so it looks like we're okay now. So, yeah, apologies for that. It was my super chat. No, number 3, it wasn't your super chat. Thank you so much for that £20 super chat. Unfortunately, I had to end the live poll. I'm not going to set it up now, guys. So, hopefully we won't have that issue again. Anyway, so just final thoughts, obviously, on the... final thoughts, obviously, we'll obviously keep up. Well, I think we'll just leave it on that live stream if I'm honest, guys. But we'll move on, and the next topic on this one is with regards to Reform UK. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna put up the chat. I will keep going. Don't worry. I just want to get the chat up here at least on. So I've got it in front of me at least. So, right. And there we go. It was just Moss from the IT crowd turning it off and on again. Yeah. Yeah, if you can hit the like button, guys, we greatly appreciate it. Please do that. Right, so the second article I got for you guys today on this live stream. This one is from The Guardian. Reform UK said it published candidates list early, so the media could help vet it. Excuse me. So leader Richard Tice says the process is like an MOT after 10 drops so far for offensive online comments. Oh, we don't vent them ourselves. No. You guys vent them for us. So that way, if they're actually bad, we can drop them then. So instead of us actually going out of our way to vent them for us, so for things that they actually say, no, you guys can drop them for us. They are not a normal party. This is a joke. So we obviously, so I know that Reform UK said they're planning to fight for every single seat. Are they fighting for any seats in Scotland? I don't think they are. I know they're hitting every single seat in England and Wales. My understanding. I know they're not targeting Northern Ireland. But are they putting seats in Scotland? I don't think they are. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. But I know they're hitting every single seat in England. And it's quite a lot of that's quite a lot of seats, obviously, for them to target. Obviously, I am aware that the Green Party are planning to hit are going to do every single seat this general election as well, which is going to be good, which I'm really happy about. But we've already heard some of the nasty comments and things that some of these candidates have tweeted and said, and it's just like there I don't think there is a proper vetting in any way, shape, or form. So rather than them actually doing their due diligence, which they don't really do, they are standing in Scotland. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, rather than them doing their due diligence, yeah, the fact that they're saying they're letting the media help vet them, it's just like, why? Like, why can't you sort out your own house? Like, really? So Reform UK published its candidates list early so that the media and other organisations could help vet them, the party leader Richard Tice has said. The party has vowed to stand 600 candidates, one against every Conservative in the next general election, but has been forced to drop 10 candidates who were reported to have made racist, sexist, homophobic comments on social media. You don't say. Only 10 of them. I'm sure there's been more. And Tice, when asked if when he was confronted, Reform had robust processes in place to screen MPs' hopefuls, said the vetting process was like an MOT. It's valid the day you do it, but if the following Friday, the night someone has a glass or too much and puts something on social media they permanently regret, in a sense it never stops, he said. What's that supposed to mean? What is this supposed to mean, guys? Is this supposed to mean that, oh, if you really got to make sure you're not drinking or whatever, so that you don't accidentally say something you shouldn't be saying? Is this his way of basically saying, oh, but if they weren't drinking or anything, if they were perfectly clear-minded, it's all right. But if you were drinking or whatever, then it's a different thing. Alistair Keir, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Simon says 55, good to see you both there as well. Apologies for the stream going down earlier as well. Speaking at a press conference in Westminster, Tice said Reform was a fast-growing party, but we haven't got the resources the Labour Party and the Tory Party have. It's a whole different ball game. He said that the party was increasing its scrutiny of candidates looking at new technology, but that Reform was the party that made the fastest decisions when someone does or says or writes something completely inappropriate. He added, one of the reasons that we put our candidates list out early, so early ahead of the other parties, that we're open to the scrutinies of various organisations and the media. In a sense, that is a good thing. They're helping us with the vetting process. But they're not supposed to help you with the vetting process. You're supposed to do it yourselves. So you're putting forward candidates who are already racist, sexist, homophobic and transphobic and whatnot. And you're not even checking that yourselves. Like what? Perhaps a wee sniffer of Farage's gin, says Ben Bridgens. Possibly. Good to see you, Ben. Hope you're doing well. 5 prospective parliamentary candidates: Amarido Anamoto, Jonathan Kay, Mike Greenhouse. Is he related to Mike Graham in any way? Pete Addis and Ian Harris have been dropped over the last week because of social media posts. The charity Hope Not Hate revealed messages by Kay, Greenhouse and Harris. Kay, formerly the candidates for South Ribble, said Africans had IQs among the lowest in the world and Muslims never coexist with others. Oh, that's just plain disgusting comments. It's just literally. Greenhoff, who was the candidate for Alpington, said in 2019 that Alaziski Jews were a problem and that had caused the whole massive misery. Last year, he said the only solution was to remove the Muslims from our territory. Like, the thing is that when you see comments like these, they know exactly what they're saying. They really know what they're saying. Excuse me. The Addis, the party's former candidate in South Shropshire, described Angela Rayner. I'm not going to say that about her. Not going to say that. This is where brown babies come from. He also said of Chinese slur, there was nothing meant by it. It was because we had a lot of Chinese food when we were growing up. That wasn't intended to be racist. It was something my mum tagged me into. No, you knew you know exactly what you're saying here. You know exactly what you're saying here. I'm not even going to say that stuff, guys. That's sickening. Atamar, former candidate in Stevenage, described London as an Islamic state and said it would be a Muslim army run by Sadiq Khan. I've never heard of such nonsense in my entire life. And the campaign they're doing in London is so disgusting, guys. The campaign, it's really, really vile stuff. Benjamin Beendam was removed from the candidate for Swindon South after a Hope Not Hate investigation. Ginny Bowen, Rolford and Stamford. Nick Davis in North East Bedfordshire, David Cameron in Hentley and Tane, and Roger Hose in Beverley and Holderness have all been sacked for comments made on social media. Tice says every party has their fair share, frankly, of muppets and morons. You've seen it with sexual weirdos in the Tory party. You've seen it with anti-Semitism in the Labour Party and George Galloway's party. So I say, yes, we will get rid of anybody with inappropriate behaviour. We're not going to tolerate it. He said Reform was looking into new AI software that can literally monitor candidates live. In a press conference titled Labour's Betrayal for the Working Class, Tice outlined the party's intention to tackle NHS waiting lists within 2 years. 2 years. He's having a laugh. He's funny. 2 years. Yeah, be realistic. paid for by scrapping plans to reach net zero by 2050. What? Which will claim will provide £30 million a year. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Someone explain that to me. Explain that to me. Scrapping net zero by 2050, which you claim will provide £30 million a year. What? Tice said he would also provide tax relief of 20% on independent and healthcare insurance to encourage people who can afford to go private to ease pressure on the NHS. Basically, what he's saying is go private. Stop relying on the NHS. Go private. That's what he's saying with this last statement here. Yeah. This is a very simple message. If you're voting for reform, you're voting for privatisation of our healthcare system. That is exactly what it is, guys. If you're voting for reform, you are voting to want to privatise your healthcare system, which means that when your mum or your mother or your relative or whatever is dying of cancer, yeah, you and your family are gonna fork out your own savings for that cancer treatment. That is what you are voting for when you vote for reform. Yeah, you're voting to put your hand in your own pocket to pay to save your mother's life from cancer. That is what you are essentially doing. Just remember that. Just remember that. What are you guys saying? 30 million a year. My beer is bigger. My beer bill is bigger than that. Dave, I think you need to cut down on the beer. One angry pagan. Tice only pays lip service to the working class. Yes, he does. I like Rayner, not as far left as I like, but not right wing. I would agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah, I think Angela Rayner is one of the more level-headed, and also yeah, her background speaks a lot more volume to people than some others in the Labour Party, that's for sure, which is why they're targeting her so hard with this story. That's why I'm not really covering it. I don't really want to cover it because I just think it's a non-story. I don't see any concrete evidence for it, and the thing is that there's more scandals in the Conservatives than there is with them. So how low can the political speech go, says Jal? Yeah, I'm not too sure. No one is bad-mouthing Angela and her boots. Not on my watch, says Jal. They know exactly what they are saying, but they're too cowardly to admit it, says Ben Ridgens. Yeah, they are indeed. Alistair Keir with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. It's gifted 5 memberships to Stephen Banker, Matt Parker, Zeno, Goddess of Abundance, and Tom Finney there. So thank you so much, Alistair Keir, for your support. As always, greatly appreciate it. Always nice to see regular folks here on another live stream, says Genie Bowl. Yeah, it's always nice. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when people don't have. It's nice when same people come all the way around. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, it is a new mic. Can we see Ollie? Can we see Ollie? No, we can. You can. Hold on. If I just move that slightly, yeah, you can see the orb in the lava lamp has formed pretty well, to be fair. So, yeah, that is a lot happier there. I'm still trying to get used to the right placement for the mic, guys. So I am still trying to get used to it right in my face. Anyways, shall we move on? This next story, guys, is interesting one from the BBC. So Lib Dems are calling for an end to the special needs postcode lottery, and I agree, this does need to end. The Liberal Democrats are calling for an end to the postcode lottery on special education needs for disabilities. Now, as somebody who suffered who went to an EBD school when I was younger, emotional behaviour difficulty school, I went to one of them because of my past. So that is a term of special needs as well. I can tell you that the care that is needed for these children is very, very important, and I think it's outrageous that they're basically placed in a postcode lottery for the chances and possibility of getting that extra help that they need, and it's really, really important that they get that. Now, I know we are right now in a situation where I know that here in England, obviously I can't speak for others, but I know it's really hard right now for teachers. And it really saddens me that people are literally, it's a roll of the dice of whether or not that people will get that special need that they can. And I generally do not think this is the education's fault. I don't believe this is the state education's fault. I simply think it's not enough money coming in, and I think I just don't think they're getting enough funding, and they're not looking after the very buildings and structures that our schools are in as well. I mean, we've had this issue for such a long time. Casanova, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And it's and our children are so important. I mean, I know you guys agree with me about how important children's education really matters, and especially those who have special needs where they need that extra care. They really need that extra care, and to be literally. It's literally a gamble of whether your child gets it or not. It's just not right. It's not right in any way, shape or form. They should be given that support, and there should be plenty of funding for it. So I'm all for the Liberal Democrats saying this. Whether or not a Labour government will push for more of this is another thing. But I do hope that the Lib Dems do push this. So there is a huge difference in support for offered in schools linked to extra costs, said the party leader, said Davey. He wants a new national champion to coordinate support for children with the most complex needs as part of a £300 million boost. The government published its own SEND improvement plan last year. Parents must get an education, health care, EHC plan for their child to access tailored SEND support. However, the latest government statistics showed that over half the plans were not provided within the legal 20-week deadline, leaving tens of thousands of children without support. See, I hate this. I fucking hate this, that parents have to jump through hoops. They have to jump through hoops for some of these things. Let me actually share with you guys a story. So I'm not going to say who. I know a family member who has a child that has speaking issues. They're speaking issues, so who can't talk very well. Okay, now this child obviously, when it comes there's a certain age obviously when you start talking, but this child obviously has a speaking difficulty, so learning to speak is a lot different. So they need that extra care and consideration with them. Now the childcare that this child was working, that he or she was under. They were supposed to obviously keep records and tracks and all this kind of information on. I'm not going to say the childcare either, but I am going to really vent my anger here because the childcare never kept any records of this child throughout the whole year it was there for the child's speaking disability, and the parents were absolutely furious because they could not provide evidence for the next stage for the child, for the NHS to be able to get the additional help that they need for that child in the future, because the childcare thought there was nothing wrong with her when they were explicitly told when the child first arrived there that the child had speaking issues. I don't know if anyone else has had this issue, but when I was told that story, I was absolutely furious. And I hope that was a one-off, because that child is going to have a very hard time, and the parents are going to have a very hard time getting the evidence they need to prove that this child needs the special education needs that he needs because of the child's speaking disability. Really matters. That one-to-one really matters. Even for children without special needs, guys, that one-to-one really does make a morale-boosting effort for children. Lib Dem analysis shows stark differences between councils across the country, with 96% of requests for families in Leicestershire breaching the time limit, whereas nearly every family in Cathedral got their plans in time, with only 1% of requests missing the deadline. The party believes the part of the problem with the delays is down to financial barriers for schools, as each establishment must pay £6,000 per child towards additional SEND support. So Ed, who is a carer for his disabled son, announced the new policy on a local election campaign visit to Brentwood and Chelmsford in Essex, where he visited the special education needs charities, spoke to families. This is one thing I love about, I like about Ed Davies, is that as someone who is caring for his own disabled son, knows exactly the pain and the pain and the challenges that it faces for parents who go through that. And he can relate to it because he experiences it every single day. And this is one thing why I'm so glad that he continues to push and champion this, because he experiences this himself. He outlines how the Lib Dems would help set up a dedicated national body for SEND to act as a champion for children with complex needs to ensure they receive tailored support. So Ed wants to see an extra £300 million dedicated to SEND and promises to set out a fully costed plan in his party's manifesto ahead of a general election later this year. Speaking on the visit, he said, when a child or young person has particular needs that cost a lot of money to support, we argue that they should fall under the national budget, and that will relieve pressure on councils. Yes, take it off the councils' shoulders. The councils have enough on their shoulders as it is. That would make sure that families and local authorities are working together and not against each other. Investing now would cut bills in the long run, so as suggested, as identifying SEND early on can prevent more complex needs developing. Exactly. The sooner it's identified, the sooner the child has been categorized and can be given the help they need, the better. Urgent action is needed to ensure that all children can access the tailored learning and support they need, he added. The Department for Education spokesperson outlined how the government is reforming the system across the country with early interventions, constant higher standards and less bureaucracy. We want all children to have the chance to reach their potential, which is why we are increasing funding for young people with complex needs by over 10.5 billion next year, up 60% in the last 5 years, they said. That includes investing more than £21 million, which has been used to train 400 more educational psychologists to increase the number of teaching assistants by nearly 6,000 to nearly 60,000 for 2011. The Labour Party has been contacted for comment. So at the time of this article, it's not been reported. I generally hope that they are paying attention, Labour, when it comes to this story. I really, really hope so. I think it's really, really important. And I generally hope that they do get the special needs kids get that help they need, and I also do hope it's the same also for ordinary kids as well, because it really, really does matter. And I don't think anyone in the chat is going to disagree with me on that. Generally want to hear what you guys think about this one. Why do politicians never consider the long-term consequences of underfunding education? In 20 years, they'll complain of skill shortages. Yes, they will. And then we'll be relying more on immigration and relying more on foreign workers to help to make up the shortfall, Steve. You're absolutely right. And then they will be saying, why are we not using more British kids? Well, because you didn't invest enough in our education system. You left out a whole generation of British kids. That's why. Well, I say English specifically. Scotland are still doing a pretty decent job with their education system, in all seriousness. Honestly, says Jow, I did not know that there was a system for special needs kids in the UK. There is one, but it's not good enough in any way, shape, or form. I was respect for you for that, Rick. Well, you know, I can't tell you. I don't want to. A day will come where I'll talk more about it. But you know, my parents it did a lot for me for the challenges I had when I was younger. It's raining hard right now since 3 days ago. It's raining where you are, Saturday. Well, hopefully you're under an umbrella at least. In Scotland, special needs are within the mainstream state education most of the time, says David. That's good. Yeah, every single child matters. That's for sure. I'm good to hear that. Are you sure you're not just speaking Welsh? Says Simon says. I do have part Welsh blood in me, believe it or not. But yeah, I have part Irish and part Welsh blood, so maybe that's probably where you got that from. Here is a local medical report. The parents can get their local healthcare system. My nephew has a hyperactive like me presence at school, and school has to take care of his needs, says Jow to Alistair Keir. One Angry Pagan says, I didn't have any issues with education in school. In fact, half the time I knew more than my teachers in certain subjects. It was interpersonal relationships with fellow students that gave me issues. No matter where the kid lives, we have areas with low population concentration, says Jow. Stephen Banker says, I was in my 3rd year of high school before a teacher picked up on my dyslexia. It was an art teacher that picked up on it and actually took time to help me out and understand I wasn't stupid. I suffered from a bit of dyslexia when I was younger as well, Stephen, so I can relate to that, to be fair. Kids were once the most important aspects of our society and future. Now it just seems kids are not worth investment. Shame on the greedy old folk who want it all but won't let our next generation share the same, says Jimmy Bolt. It does feel that way, doesn't it? Oh yeah, they do have something. It's just, as the article said, it is a gamble. There's no guarantee you're going to get that. You have to jump. You literally have to jump through hoops to get it. Alistair, that's the thing here in England, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to jump through any hoops for it. But that's the point there. I posted a story on Discord about there being not enough funding for 100 SEM places in Northern Ireland for next year. I'm pretty. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure I saw that story. If I'm not, but I'll double check. Thanks for that, Casper, and thanks for posting news on the Discord. I really appreciate it. And the Tories are about cutting everything that we've got little left. Says 91 Leeds. I've had difficulty 1 year with a teacher who bullied me because of my mum, says Jeannie Bottle. Yeah, education is dissolved and there's special teachers in all schools for this, says the Kia to Jow. Stephen Banker said I hid my dyslexia for a year but was unruly in schools through frustration, but I did attend the late 70s to early 80s. We're all already suffering from skill shortages. We're already there, says one angry pagan. And this is the thing. And then what's going to happen? So what are we going to do to fill this up? Well, we're going to need, obviously, to hire. We need to get immigrants and foreigners from abroad. That's what we're going to have to do because we've lost a generation. And whose fault is that? That's the Conservatives, not funding enough for our education system. Going to go to our break in a minute. Here, all the schools have shrinks, medics, nurses, and even a cook, all organised according to these numbers of students. Special needs are reported by the parents of the schools, and all are taken care of in whatever specifics they need, says Jal. And we are having staff issues too. The big issue here too being solved, says Jal. Thanks for that, appreciate it. I only found out that my one angry pagan says I only found out my interpersonal relationship issues stem from neurodiverse autism after I left school. Thanks you guys for sharing. Really appreciate all the comments. It's not easy to talk about those. It's not easy to talk about some of our past. Let's say we break. We have a little bit of fun, guys. Who's up for a funny video? I think we need a funny video to break things up. Tory tutors. That's what we need, guys. Tory tutors. Take it away, Mr. Green.
Are you struggling with your interview technique? Do you find it hard to answer questions without getting into trouble? Did you lose your moral compass years ago and need help finding north, but not in a red wall way? Then you need Tory tutors. Our crack team of educators, not experts, we've had enough of them, will guide you to the right. And the right answer. Mathematics. 2 + 2 = 5? No, that's wrong. Why? It just is, unless you're preparing for a budget, in which case it's headroom. English. Words matter. Some words are okay, and some words are not. Which ones? You know the ones. Just listen to the accent. History. I read that Churchill wasn't perfect. No, that's wrong, and basically treason. Geography. I'm really scared of all these no-go areas. That's wrong. Are you saying everywhere's safe? We don't believe in safe spaces. And religious studies. Islamists are in charge of London's mayor. No, that's wrong. Why? Because it's unacceptable. Why? Because it's wrong. But why? Because explanations are extraneous, and showing you're working is woke. Tory tutors, for when you need a response but not an answer, and when you can't tell the truth because the truth hurts. Your reputation with some of your voters.
I really wish you didn't play the music. I'm probably going to get hit with copyright or something on that, but I don't monetize my live streams. But I actually thought it was quite fitting, this video, considering what we would come off the back of on the last story there, guys. Just to say hello, Airbus. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. And Joe Lefty Boater is there. I see you guys in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Just before we go to the next story, which is the one we did have the live chat poll on the other live stream. Just going to say, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And of course, in any ways, if you want to financially support me, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for just as little as 99p. You don't have to be a $2.99 member, as a generous man in our chat has given away some lovely memberships, which I greatly appreciate. But you can also join for just 99p. That 99p makes a massive difference, and for every single person who is a member and has rejoined, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It really does help support me and the work that I do here. It really, really does. So I want to say a massive thank you to all the members. If you guys want to financially support me in other ways, one of the other ways that I would really appreciate, even if you can't financially support me there, that's perfectly all right. Please consider checking out my Patreon, guys. Patreon.com/Reganelite. Unlike other YouTubers that simply just have it there for you guys to basically pay into, you actually get content on there. And Mad Monk can speak truth to power on this. I always provide content for Patreons on there, so you don't miss out on content. And I've been doing I always do additional content there. So if you guys are enjoying the content that I do here on YouTube and you actually want to see a bit more, maybe even sometimes me swearing and ranting, you can find that on Patreon. So patreon.com/Reganelite. You can see some of that content for free. All you have to do is sign up to create a free account, and you can follow me on there. So guys, please consider checking out the Patreon. It really, even if you don't want to pay into it, which is fine, but I do get a bigger cut from Patreon if you do decide to invest in that instead of a YouTube member, just for those know. And Ollie is there. I've got to get used to moving the microphone. Ollie and the lava lamp is there. The lava lamp is looking really shabby there. I don't know how well you guys can hear me with the microphone away from me, but yeah. But they're doing well, guys. So the next one we got for you guys is the one obviously regarding David Lammy. So I asked in the members chat poll, make sure I've got the right 1, 2, 3, yeah. So I asked on the live chat poll if whether you guys think it was right for Ofcom to launch an investigation into the alleged rule breach by Labour's David Lammy. So if you guys want to reapply your comments on that, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll come back to them. So Ofcom has launched an investigation into alleged rule breach by Labour's David Lammy. So for those who don't know, David Lammy does a radio show on LBC, as well as his time as an MP. The regulator is looking into whether the Shadow Foreign Secretary broke rules on politicians acting as news presenters after he broke the news live on the air about the DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson resigning. Now, on paper, when I look at this headline, guys, Now, there's two ways I look at this. So one of the ways I look at this is that he is breaking the news live on the air as a politician, which he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be doing under Ofcom rules. However, a part of me feels is that this also feels a little bit harsh as well. It does to me feel a little bit harsh as well, because he's simply just telling you guys the story that's just come out. But under Ofcom rules, it's wrong as well. But I would also be a hypocrite for defending David Lammy when I'm not defending certain talk shows and whatnots on GB News and Talk TV. Even though we vehemently disagree with what some of the things they're saying, and we do categorize some of the stuff that they talk about and the way to characterize things as misinformation, it would be hypocritical of me to say that. Now, I personally think David Lammy should not have an LBC radio show, and I also think that all the goddamn Tory ministers and Tory MPs that are in GB News and Talk TV should all be kicked off from being hosts on those channels because they are delivering misinformation. And people, you can agree to disagree, but I don't think it's in the best interest that David Lammy has a radio host on LBC either. Politicians, they should not be having these second jobs. They should not be having these second jobs. They should be focused on their roles as serving their constituents and serving their time as an MP. And this conception that people have had about, there's this conception that people have had, I've seen around that, saying that they need this second job in terms of money. You guys are earning stack loads of money. And if you can't manage your finances, then you need to learn to manage your finances. I'm sorry, but on the income that you MPs are making, you seriously need to you seriously need to learn about how to handle money. Like, I haven't been in a job for nearly 6 months. And I'm very careful with my money. And I'm not even a goddamn politician. There are some people here in the chat who, like me, are very careful with their pennies. And some people here who are struggling and are counting every single penny that they can. But for these MPs, for some of them to just try and justify the need for having a second and third job because they can't, because their salary is not good enough for them, yeah, why don't you try being an ordinary person on the street? Just going to throw that out there. A radio show hosted by Shadow Foreign Secretary Dave Lammy is being investigated by Ofcom after it received more than 50 complaints. The broadcasting watchdog executive was looking to whether the program that aired on LBC on Good Friday broke the rules on politicians acting as news presenters. The Labour front bencher had hosted a Sunday morning show on the station since 2022 after a number of appearances for Cover and other presenters and regularly stands in on bank holidays. The MP's register for financial interest shows Mr. Lammy earns around £1,000 per episode. With his latest, seeing him paid £5,460 for 5 shows in January. And alongside a number of other speaking commitments, he is often cited as the highest paid Labour MP for his work outside of Parliament. Does he need to be doing these jobs, though? Does he need to be doing these jobs? Is he doing what he should be doing for his constituents? Ofcom confirms on its website that 53 complaints have been made about the specific show on March the 29th. During the broadcast, Mr. Lammy broke the news that DUP Sir Geoffrey Donaldson had resigned as head of the party after he was charged with historical sexual offences, charges he's understood to be strenuously contesting. A growing number of politicians have begun to host their own TV and radio show in recent years, with the likes of Labour's Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting appearing on LBC, and Reform's MP's Lee Anderson becoming a weekly fixture on GB News. In March, Ofcom found 5 programmes that were on that channel, 2 hosted by the ex-Business Secretary and Tory MP Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, and 3 jointly hosted by the Tory Minister Esther McVey and backbencher Philip Davis, had breached its impartiality rules. Under the broadcasting code, the watchdog said the news must be presented with dual impartiality and a politician cannot be a news reader, news interviewer or news reporter unless exponentially there is an editorial justification. GB News has now been put on notice and it could face a statutory sanction if it breaches the rules again, which could involve a financial penalty or having its licence suspended or revoked. Sky News has contacted the Labour Party and David Lammy for comment. So it's entirely possible that by the time they may have already responded to this by the time you see this, or even now. But I will say on this one, giving them a penalty will not do anything, considering the bankrolling behind them. Having their license suspended or revoked would be a much more fitting, in my opinion, punishment for them. Whether they will do it or not is another thing, shall we say. What's this? I was consistently put into anger management and isolation. I was too sensitive to bullying, didn't want to aggravate him, but fine. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that one, Angry Pagan. It's okay, man. We all have our own. We all have our battles. It's fine. Mike, sound is brilliant. Regan says, "How's the kit?" Thanks for that. Appreciate it. How long has Mog been in GBBs? Too long. But that show shouldn't be up. That show and that channel shouldn't be up, in my opinion. Did he give his opinion when he announced it? He was basically doing news, covering news, and that's the thing. Yeah, I get why it's a question. I get the question mark over it, Ben. I really do. I got pulled out last year for hitting bullying after the last year I bullied. I hit back and got excluded, says Genie Bottle. Don't worry, Genie Bottle. I got expelled from school too. I got expelled from my first secondary school because I eventually fought back and took my bullies on. Yes, I did win, but it took months of negativity and nasty comments when it came back when they lifted their hands, says Stephen Banker. Yeah, we all have our battles. Anyone in the chat being bullied, don't give up, says Jow. Yeah, schools were harsh places. Yes, they were, Jow, they were. Moggy proving his family line evolution has stalled the minister for the 18th century. Wasn't it the Isn't it from the man from the 1900 though, Dave McGuinness? I thought it was. Yeah, I know, Joe. It's all good. It took me a while for me to get in there. I was bullied at home for 8 years as a child. It was hell, says number 3. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Thank you guys for sharing. I know that's not easy. It's not easy talking about that stuff. It's not easy talking about it. I'm not looking forward to this one. So, obviously, take this story with a pinch of salt, guys. This is an article from the Times, but this is what Wes Streeting has said as well. So the headline is Wes Streeting saying middle-class lefties won't stop us fixing the NHS. The Shadow Health Secretary insists Labour will use the private sector to tackle waiting lists despite howls of outrage. Have I told you guys how much I hate Wes Streeting? Does this man honestly know what he's doing? Does this man generally know what he's doing? You know, the thing that really baffles me is him talking about us like these lefties who think, yeah, that, you know, we're trying to stop him fixing the NHS. No, we're not trying to stop you fixing the NHS, Wes Streeting. What we want you to do is stop using the private sector and start investing more in the state sector. Put your goddamn hands in your pockets and manage things. We know the NHS is going to need some kind of reform in England. We know that, but he's trying to paint this picture that people on the left don't want the NHS to be fixed, which is absolute 100% BS. It's 100% BS, guys. And I'm sure you guys, who is this Wes Streeting? Yeah, there are times where he talks common sense, and then he says stuff. There are times where he actually talks some logical sense, and then there's times where he says things like this, and it just drives me up the goddamn wall. It really drives me up the goddamn wall. He does. And this guy's going to be the health secretary. He said he's insulted the NHS workers as well. He has insulted NHS workers as well. And I'm just like, can we have a health secretary that actually can be, you know, somebody, an understanding of the situation that they are in? This man he intends to push more private sector into the NHS. Now, my understanding is that he's going to use the private sector to help clear the backlogs within the NHS. Now, at what point is he in any way, shape or form, or do Labour at any way, shape or form? Let's say they do use the private sector. Okay, let's say they come to power, whatnot. This guy becomes health secretary, right? He uses the private sector to clear the backlogs, okay? Yeah, let's just say hypothetical. Let's just go along with this, guys. Yeah, just go along with it for a second, guys. Let's say he does this, okay? And he goes through uses the private sector, helps clear the backlog, and makes a massive difference, yada, 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 right? Actually brings the waiting list down, which is great, and all that kind of stuff. Right, are you going to rely less and less on the private sector and invest more in the public sector, West? Are you going to do that? Can you commit to that? Is it when is there the point of saying this is where we're going to stop using the private sector? Because at no point in this do I feel like that Wes Streeting has any intention of using the state to look after our healthcare. And it feels like to me that it's going to be more about running the NHS. I feel like the NHS is starting to be looked more like a business than a healthcare system. And when I was watching Mac's video earlier today about Richard Tice saying about thinking of the NHS like a business, this is what really frightens me. And you guys have seen the video. I'm sure you guys have already seen the video about the private ambulance services that are being done in England as well. And it's just a matter of time before more stuff like that happens. It's so disheartening. This guy is a true Tory, full on neoliberal, says Dave McGuinness. It's very disheartening. It really is disheartening, this man. So Labour will take on the middle-class lefties who are opposed to Labour's plans to use the private sector to reduce NHS waiting lists, Wes Streeting has said. We will also use spare capacity in the private sector to cut the waiting list, the Shadow Health Secretary said. Middle-class lefties cry betrayal. The real betrayal is the two-tier system that sees people like them treated faster, while working families like mine are left waiting for longer. How dare he say that about them? About left? Who are you implying that all the middle-class lefties are filthy rich? Like, this man. while working families like mine are left waiting for longer. He's got nerve to say that. Would not. He's got some nerve saying that. He really has. He said he would ignore the howls of outrage in response to his comments that he believes that the present situation was a disgrace. I've said this before. I know, I understand the situation, but I just don't trust him. I don't trust him with our national healthcare service in England. I just do not trust him. I have spoken in the past how I think that there is some justifiability to using some of the private sector, but there's no guarantees from this man that he's going to roll reverse the private sector in the NHS if he does clear the backlogs with it. There's no guarantees of that, none at all. I don't have that. I don't feel that assurances from him whatsoever. Those who can afford it are paying to go private, are being seen faster than the outcomes of their life chances, and the quality of their life will be better, he told Today on BBC Radio 4, following on from his article for The Sun. Why is he talking to them? Those who can afford it are being left behind. Those who tend to be working from working class backgrounds like mine, I think it's a disgrace. That's why, as the howls of outrage pour in, they are already on my social media mentions this morning. I take it as water off a duck's back. I don't think I could look someone in the eye who is waiting for months and months, sometimes a year, in pain and agony for treatment. I couldn't look them in the eye and tell them that they should wait longer because of my principles trump their timely access to care. Everyone in this country should get timely access to care, and they shouldn't have to worry about the bill. Yes, I agree. I agree with what he says here about everyone should get... No one is... West, no one is debating you about the NHS and the backlog needs to be cleared. No one is pointing at. The point is, you should not have to. It should be what there are ways you can do this without the reliance of the private sector, and you're not guaranteeing that you're going to roll back on the private sector, even when you do bring it down. You've not guaranteed that. Can you guarantee that? That's a question I generally would like someone to ask Wes Streeting. Yeah, as a general question, I would say to him, I would generally say to him, look, you're going to invest it, you're going to use the private sector to help clear the backlogs. But let's say this plan works, right? Yeah. What happens then? Are you going to roll back on the private sector within our national healthcare so that it's relying less on the private sector and more on the state? Do we have that assurances from you? That's a question that I generally want to know from Wes Streeting. So if anyone can get a chance to ask him that question, please do. He also said that Labour wants to build a cross-party consensus on social care funding in 2010. Lord Cameron of Chipping Norton, who was the then Prime Minister, described Labour's plans as a death tax. Theresa May attempted to overhaul social care plan, but her plans backfired in the run-up to the 2027 election and were ditched. Boris Johnson also pledged to reform social care funding as Prime Minister, but he was unable to do so before he was forced to quit. We need a social care plan. I've said that the social care should be run like it should be its own. It should be like an NHS, but it should be its own, work in conjunction with the NHS, but have its own work funded in a similar way. So yes, in the form of a tax. Yes, is what I'm saying, people. We've also got to set out different kind of portfolios around social care for the long term as well, Streeting said. We definitely need a more grown-up conversation about this. That we both agree on. We have got to end this endless cycle where politicians from both of the main parties torpedo each other's plans. I would hope that the next Labour government won't just provide an answer to the immediate crisis in social care, but will set out a long-term direction for investment and reform, and we can command consensus from across the divide and last for generations, as we did on the NHS in 1948. Whether or not the Conservative Party will be in a reasonable state to have a reasonable conversation, I don't know. One thing is certain, Rishi Sunak won't be there. So when you look at the cast of clowns looking to succeed him, it could get so much worse than this, he says. Yeah, get in agreement with the Conservatives. And that's why some people want the Conservatives wiped out, because you just generally cannot trust them. But him taking pot shots at people who don't want private healthcare within the sector is not going to help anyone or anything when it comes to this situation. It's not helping anyone, guys. It really is not. Buddy Labour and class classic, says Dave McGuinness. Banker Labour aren't half blue. If anything, they're half turned yellow, says one angry pagan. Maybe if my fuel bills weren't so high, I could afford to keep healthy and not be part of the pressure the NHS is under, says Stephen Banker. Mad Monk says, I remember when there were only a couple of private healthcare providers. Now you can get at least a dozen advertising on TV. What folk forget is the doctors in the private care are NHS doctors. Yeah, and we're paying for them. And we're not. When we train up doctors and nurses here in this country, they end up going abroad rather than staying as well. We need science and logic and humanization in the organisation of state. Mixing religions, emotions, and ignorance is illogic, says Jow. Starman and Streeting don't even look like they even like each other. Lol, says Wendy Pagan. Yeah, I'm going to imagine that things are not probably. I'm going to go out on a stretch and say they're probably not on the best of terms. Maybe, because he has said things that has angered a lot of people within the NHS, Wes Streeting. So he needs to be very careful in the future. That's for sure. Wes is an utter conwomble. He's in the wrong party. Oh wait, I forgot Labours were blue. As if Starmer and Streeting aren't middle class. Exactly. Like he talks about using the NHS himself. Like when he made a speech about protesters, when he ridiculed his dad for protesting against Murdoch, when he opened the. So seriously, this guy is horrid. Labour started the NHS and half to fix it. That was from Ben Shaw, sorry. One Pagan says, Labour started the NHS and to half to fix it before. There are still Labour MPs who have the right ideas, though I think West is there because he has... some kind of clout. I think he may have some money coming in his back pocket as well from potential donors and whatnot. Mr. Streeting's face is too small for his head, says Joe Lefty Boater. Actively distrust those in power. Some are demons, says number 3. And just how expensive is insurance going to be? I'll be out of reach for poor people, says the banker. Jow says, why do people feel the need to resort to such speech? What in Oda's beard is a middle-class lefties? Lefties do not believe in classes even around here, lefties are the Tories, says Jow. Yeah, all these comments, yeah, these, not your comments, but his comments, yeah, guys, his comments have not helped whatsoever. Under new Labour will save us by continuing austerity, refusing a wealth tax and capping child benefits to 2 kids. What save us, says Phil McCracken. Yeah, exactly. Good to see you, Phil. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I just can't trust these Labour guys. I want to believe that they will do best in the best interest, but I will say that they are the best. They are the best scenario right now compared to the Conservatives. Oi, says mate, says Richard Gwimbleby. Good to see you, Richard. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. Tories I get Taser. Good to see you there, buddy, as well. And everyone just saying hello to each other. So, guys, got one more story for you guys before we wrap things up here. And then if you guys want to join me on the Discord in the after chat, you're more than welcome to come and join me there for a wee chat. If one of the moderators can put a link in the description that would for the Discord community, that'd be greatly appreciated. It is free to join. There is no payment barrier whatsoever. You guys are more than welcome to come and join us on the Discord community. The Snowflake server, originally set up for myself and Lee Corn for the Snowflake show, which we sadly are not doing anymore. But Mr. Lee Corn is still around on the Discord every now and then. So if you do miss Mr. Corn, please feel free to come and join us on there as well. Well, he's also normally there on most Saturday night games nights as well. So this last story is from the Byline Times, guys. Newspapers knew that the new Team GB kit was not a flag redesign project. A Team GB spokesperson told the Nathan Jones Sparks that the British Olympic Association was very clear with the press that its new design kit would always feature the Union Jack. Yes, guys, flags. Where's the flag? How dare they tarnish the flag? It's almost... It's not like, how dare they disrespect our flag? It's almost like, it's not as bad as when, UKIP painted the British flag purple. That was a disgrace for sure. Or when the British Olympics back in 2012 coloured the flag blue. That was disgraceful as well. How dare they change the flag? And we don't talk about the New England football kit costing £125 either. No, we don't talk about that. But there's a tiny little thing on the back of the collar, which is obviously a disgrace. It's a non-starter. It's a non-story, and it's designed to rile up hatred and to antagonise this whole patriotism nonsense. And when I do videos like that, like you guys may have seen the video about Labour unsure about putting Union Jacks on their leaflets, and some people were like, how dare they complain about this? Why are you complaining about a silly flag or whatever? And I was just like, it's not my fault that the English Defence League hijacked the flag. It's not my fault that there's a lot of racist and bigots parties and activists and whatnot have hijacked the flag to associate themselves with it, because that's kind of what they've done, really. Just saying. So let's read into this story, guys. So Team GB is in a hotbed of left-wing radicalism, intent on destroying our national institutions and defacing our flag. That is according to the Mail, the Sun and the Telegraph. Okay. Team GB are out to destroy the Great Britain, guys. No, it's nobody else. It's Team GB. Because last week it emerged that the wokerati in charge of the British Olympic Association, which runs Team BG, had torn up the glorious Union Jack of red, white and blue and replaced it with an un-British made-up mashup of purple and pinks. The Sun led the charge with the front page splash on April the 2nd, declaring, "Union joke! Fury at Team GB's red, white and blue axed." This is the definition of what I tweeted that got more than 15,000 views on Twitter. I literally said, with regards to a different story, I said, this is a distraction tactic to distract you from the real issues taking place in the world. And that's exactly what this is. This is nothing more than the right-wing media trying to distract you from the real issues taking place in this country, in the whole of the UK. Excuse me. Mail Online was close behind announcing furious Team GB's Union Jack goes woke. Calling on the news designer wholesale brand. Oh, I'm sure GB News had a field day with this topic. The president of the Flags Institute deemed the flag an insult to the war dead. Oh my god. I just knocked the mic, didn't I? It's not your fault, Scotland and Ireland hate the sign of oppression invented by a Scottish king, says David McGuinness. No, it is not my fault, but I have to, you've got to laugh at this, because if you can't, what else are you supposed to do? Doc Davis, good to see you there. Warrior, what a load of... Yeah, what a load of nonsense, I know. British javelin thrower Fatima Whitebread described herself as absolutely disgusted, while former England Peter Shield and CBE observed that nothing is held sacred these days. Oh my god, are you guys serious? Then the Telegraph joined the outrage, arguing that Team GB's flag trashes everything that's iconic about the Union Jack, and that fashionable liberals are allergic to patriotism and think the whole idea of the Olympics is illicit. Based on these headlines, readers may have forgotten that for believing that Team GB had indeed set about redesigning the Union Jack, the British athletes at future tournaments would no longer display red, white and blue on their kits, and that perhaps was a broader agenda to promote a new national flag. The reality is very different. This entire story is a textbook example of how some newspapers will conversate out of thin air, conveying insecurities and perfectly reasonable events into red meat for their own Confederate war culture. Here are the facts. This is why you should subscribe to Barline Times, guys. And look, guys, you can see it right there on your screen. You can pay monthly for £3.75 a month, or literally pay £39 a year for an annual subscription to help their cause, guys. Very good deals for them. And just like this one, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna do another cheap plug here. Look, yeah, see, yeah. Great pieces here from Barline Times. Pick up your local. Yeah, if you can get one, guys, definitely worth checking out as well. So firstly, the redesign is not new. It was completed and launched in June 2023. Items bearing the logo and design have not been on sale for months. Secondly, the briefings of the branding project was to create a full suit of graphic, colours and other designs assist to complement the Union Jack. There was no brief and no intention to amend the Union Jack and to design that does not do that. It is complementary graphic for use of selective merchandise. Thirdly, there were no plans to alter the kit designs with the new graphics. Team GB has confirmed that their team kits at the Paris 2024 Olympics and for all foreseeable future tournaments will include unaltered images of the Union Jack. See, this is what they're going to do at the Olympics, guys. They're gonna run the story of if these guys do well or do bad or whatever. It's because they disgraced the flag. Finally, this is where press controversy generated machines come into its own. Several reported references allegations of wokeness in the design. On what basis is a series design which are limited to a range of simple patterns and colours borrowed from the Union Jack can possibly describe the signs of wokeness is unclear. Team GB have confirmed that although it is of course fully committed to diversity and inclusivity, this was not a specific part of the brief. But no culture war article is complete without some claim of wokeness or political correctness, and these publications weren't about to let the facts get in their way. In summary, a year ago, a design agency came up with a few complementary graphics based on the core of the Union Jack colours, in which Team GB had used some bits of merchandise. That's it! If you search hard enough in the coverage, there are fragments of Team GB's response publications published in the publications among the various allegations which spell this out. A Team GB spokesperson told me that the British Olympic Association was very clear with the press that the kit would always feature the Union Jack and that it was not a flag redesign project. These newspapers decided to run with their groundless attacks anyway. As the general election draws closer, manufacturing outrage on woke flashpoints is only likely to become more common in this part of the press. Newspapers will seek to make them into an election issue, and to an extent they already succeeded. While the cost of living crisis rages on, thousands of people have defaulted on their mortgages and wars rage across the world. Both the Prime Minister and Labour leader Keir Starmer recently took time out to comment on how Nike had portrayed the St George's Cross on the England's men's football team shirt. Yeah, because obviously this is a priority for Sir Keir Starmer and the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak about a silly little cross on the back of an England kit, rather than actually dealing with talking about the main issues that's going on in the country, in Great Britain in total as well. But the first victims of the culture wars will always be in the public, who will be less informed, and as a result of misleading or inaccurate press coverage, more specifically in case readers are at risk of believing that there is an anti-British conspiracy everywhere they look, and for losing trust in organisations like the British Olympic Association for no good reason. This is exactly what it is. This is to poison. I've talked about this. This is what they're continuing doing this, and it's going to lead them down this rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. This term here that they've put in here, anti-British conspiracy, they are going to run this to the hill. These right-wing conspirators everywhere, they're going to run with this anti-Britain thing every chance that they possibly can. Yeah, anytime that when the incoming Labour government, when they don't associate themselves with the flag or any kind of patriotism with Britain, they are going to say they are anti-British, they are against British cultures, British values, and all this kind of stuff. They're going to accuse them of being woke. They're going to run with this to the goddamn hill. And the most infuriating thing about all this, guys, and I'm sorry if I'm shouting, the most infuriating about is of all this, guys, they are going to get away with it. That's the thing that really infuriates me. They're going to get away with it. My phone's about to die, and I've got the live chat on. No. I'm going to miss seeing your chats until the end of the article. Currently, this kind of coverage promotes division, suggesting to readers that there is some kind of covert operation being waged to undermine the national symbol and values. This is exactly what they're doing with Sadiq Khan in the local elections as well. Like trying to paint him as some kind of scorched bad man. Good evening, Sir Larry the Cat. Good to see you. Exactly! Sir Larry the Cat just said exactly what I said earlier on, guys. Sir Larry's more upset with the shocking price for the kit. Yeah, £125. And people are more concerned about some silly symbol on the back of it rather than the price. There are also other consequences. The design company worked on the project, so far as I understand from GB News, did a perfectly good job and met with the brief of the work very well. Yet two of the individuals from the firm have now been named, one of them pictured, one of them roundly attacked in one of the newspapers. The business subsequently received aggressive messages online. Yeah, so now this business is going to get scrutinised, they're going to get attacked. Anyone who has worked for that company, if their faces or their Twitter accounts get appeared, they're going to be targeted, and they're going to suffer abuse and whatnot, all over absolutely nothing. They're going to be innocently targeted all over this, all because the right wing wanted to create this conspiracy of this anti-British conspiracy. These people are working for this company, and this is just the beginning of this, guys. Other people are going to get this as well. Innocent people are going to suffer because of the right-wing media, which is why we need media reform. We have to change the media in this outlet here so that papers like this can stop publishing this nonsense woke agenda crap that's misleading and leading to what's going to be happening to these individuals, plus more people down the road. They've got to reform the media. The sooner the better. The solution to misleading or inaccurate press coverage is compliant regulation. It's all telling that none of the newspapers mentioned in this article are regulated. They are all instead members of the Industrial Control Complaints Handler ISPO. Broadcasters are regulated in this country, but newspapers are not. And one consequence of that publication, which tends towards lower standards, are able to engage in campaigns of disinformation and misleading coverage, but as they have done so here. The Mail, the Sun, and the Telegraph have a lot to answer for, but until they become regulated, no one is going to answer to these groundless, agenda-driven reporting, which will persist with serious consequences for us all. Absolutely. Nathan Jones Sparkle, the CEO of Hacked Off Group, which campaigns for a free and accountable press. Will you keep up the fight, Nathan Jones? Yeah, if you can support them, please do, guys. But yeah, it's a non-story, and it's designed to stir up the whole woke culture nonsense, guys. That's what it is to do. It's annoying. Just going to come to quickly, you guys in the chat. Chatty Rat, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. People in England and Wales will have no to say on any change to the union flag. The decision whether or not it will change will rest with the people of Scotland in the referendum and or Ireland border polls. Yeah. Believe me, a gammon in a Red Union Jack speech will have enough to British tourists banned from some countries, says Jow. Leveson too, as was the recommendation of Leveson, but don't want it, the government, the police, nor the media. No, they don't want it. They don't want it, and they'll do everything they can to stop that. Gammons are walking around with Union Jacks and red asterisks and Speedos and walking and worried about this. Yeah, they are, apparently. This country is in poop, but let's get angry about what overpaid footballers are wearing and get a grip on flag huggers, says Mad Monk. Not saying the other words, sorry. British culture, British values, are you having a laugh? Yes, apparently we are. We are having a laugh, apparently. Devolution of powers is Tory small government goal. FF sakes, these are basic concepts, says Phil. Yep, absolutely. NHS and crisis, let's be outraged at sports being inclusive, says Ginny Bottle. Yes, exactly, 100%. Well said, Ginny Bottle. National Wealth Fund, who pays for that, says Phil McCracken. Yeah, who pays for that? Cultural ball, people are dumb as posters. Tory don't get tasered. Yes, they are. But the problem is that if you're only reading from newspapers and you're reading from certain papers like these and you're reading from GB News, that it just exacerbates it and it just goes down, takes you down that rabbit hole, doesn't it, to be fair, guys? So, before we wrap things up, guys, got one more funny video for you guys. There's, what's that, Ollie? What's that? Oh yes, it's great to see the orb is all in its glory, and he's a lot happy because we had a very generous super chat from number 3 earlier today, and Alistair Keir giving some memberships as well there. You guys still can't see can't see it there. So the orb, not too shabby as well. This is going to take some getting used to the microphone, guys, so bear with me. But some guy from Portsmouth wants to talk to us. I mean, do these? Like, can they not get someone else from a different country? Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't mind this guy, but like, would be nice to have someone different for a change.
Colin is in Portsmouth. Hello, Colin.
I found it heartwarming, Anthony. Absolutely heartwarming.
Sorry, you found what heartwarming, Colin?
Piers Morgan and Rishi Sunak, 2 legends.
Right.
The prides of Britain finally coming together to solve the migrant crisis.
Yeah, they had a £1,000 bet on whether Sunak could deport anyone to Rwanda. You could only sink lower if you were in an overloaded dinghy crossing the English Channel, Colin.
And it brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
You metropolitan tofu-munching woke elites make me sick. Obsessed with holding 7-bit Sunak to account, but gambling with refugees' lives isn't the PC way to go about it.
Colin, he's reducing our status on the world stage to a bet between 2 rich old mates, Colin.
Well, that's what happened with Brexit. Why change a winning tactic?
Okay, fair enough, but it's crass in a cost of living crisis. You've got to admit that.
No, you're more likely to do something if it's your own money at stake.
True.
And if he loses, then the public can pay for it. That's what the Treasury's for. It's just win-win for Rishi.
Well, that's genius.
Perhaps if he put £1,000 on reducing NHS waiting lists, it would have happened by now. I don't know. Thank God for wealthy politicians, I say, and thank Murdoch for Piers Morgan. Anyway, mate, thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family.
Now off to eat some pork scratchings without paying the spare bedroom tax. Thank you again, Rishi.
With the
Oh, how's that bet going? Is he gonna get? Is that bet paying off, guys? What do you think? Do you think that bet's paying off? I'm not sure if that bet's gonna pay off for Rishi Sunak. That £1,000 bet. Maybe it's just me. Just gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably not gonna pay off for him. So, guys, we've reached the end of the Snowflake Viewpoint. Apologies for the crash earlier, but luckily, I can work with this one. This one. I probably am I don't know if I'll leave the other one up or not. I'll probably delete it maybe, and we'll just have this one instead. But guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come today. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you for those who polled on the live chat poll. I don't know what the final result was because obviously I had to bail out of it, so I do apologise for that. But we'll get one up on Wednesday as on Wednesday, guys. But thank you for Alistair Keir for your gifted memberships. Thank you, number 3, for the £20 super chat today. Greatly appreciate your support, guys. I hope you all have a great week, whatever you guys have got planned. I am back tomorrow at 7 o'clock with the premiere of the World's News Round. So feel free to come and hang out with me in the chat before Max goes live later on. So if you guys are more than welcome to come and join me. That's 7 o'clock UK time, so if you guys want to come and hang out with me there, you can do. Then I'll be back on Wednesday with a live stream of the Snowflakes Watch. We'll be looking at certain clips and giving our reactions for them. I'm sure there'll be plenty of rage here. We'll see how the microphone does in terms of volume level, and some you will probably go, my ears, if I start screaming and shouting. Then on Thursday, obviously Thursday at 8 o'clock, we will have another episode of the Regan's News Round premiere. Be sure guys check that out, 8 o'clock there. And then on Friday we have the Snowflakes Corner, as always, 7 o'clock, where we cover world news stories on there on the live stream, so feel free to join me there. This Saturday or Sunday, I'm looking to try and get at least a premiere video dropping for you guys on Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. as well. Still, I want to say thank you to the members who have cast their votes on ideas. If you have any more ideas on that community post, guys, you know the one I talked about, I dropped on Sunday. Please feel free to drop some more ideas. I would really, really appreciate it. So I've got some ideas anyway, but if not, I've got some ideas anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do one or two do a premiere video on Saturday and Sunday night. Just want to put this out there for you guys as well, that if I do a premiere video on Saturday and Sunday night, which you guys hear in the live chat right here and right now, I cannot promise or guarantee that I will be there. And I want to make this clear to all the mods. You are not obligated, moderators, or you are not under any obligation to be there for every single show. So I just want to say, if you guys have plans on the weekends and you can't make those premieres, it's totally fine. If you have got nothing else to do and you want to come and hang out on those premieres on the weekends that I plan on recording, you're more than welcome to do so. But don't feel obligated, moderators, to be there if you've got other things to do on your weekends. Honestly, I want to make that very, very clear. So just to make that clear, and thank you to all the moderators who have been moderators who keep the chat clean. I really appreciate it. So if I don't see it, so guys, I'll be in the Discord. I'm just going to wrap this things up here. So if you guys want to come and hang out with me in the Discord, I'll be there very momentarily. But if not, then before I go, just one more thing, guys. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. No, I can't put him on top because he might mute the mic. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share us across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, guys, and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So I want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.